Welcome Taurus, your in-depth monthly horoscope for September 2024 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. I'm going to share some standout details to look out for, but then please stay with me, the event chart on the screen for Taurus, and then I'll go through all the big changes and shifts that unfold as September develops. Now, your ruler, Venus, is something we do need to be mindful of. Venus starts this month just into the other zodiac sign it governs of Libra, which is very much about relating. And your professional relationships come to the fore right at the start of this month. Why should that be? And there could be a travel dynamic or learning some new skills that may be part of the equation. But you are going to have an opportunity to manifest your talents, your creativity and your charisma with the wonderful new moon of the 3rd. But then we have Mars, the planet of passion, moving into a much faster location for 8 weeks on the 4th. Mercury returns to the sign it rules of Virgo, joining up with the Sun on the 9th, and that adds more sparkle. If something has felt very bogged down, you're going to find yourself in much better form from then. But we do have the first of a new eclipse series on the 18th. So I'm going to share about that. It's very, very delicate because it's very close to the position of Neptune. Then we have the autumnal equinox of the 22nd. Very practical for you, but as the month draws to a close, your ruler darts into your opposite sign. Gorgeous for your romantic prospects and all sorts of relationships. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. If you're new to my channel, it's lovely to have your company. If you have any thoughts, please do share them. This is very much a community. If you're a returning visitor, as ever, I truly appreciate your support. If you've yet to subscribe, please do so. Help the channel to thrive and click that bell notification symbol. If you'd like to talk to me one-to-one with a consultation, please see the link below and check out my testimonials. And if you'd like to take advantage of my year 2025 very special personal horoscope forecast offer, you can order that now, get the rest of this year free, but also your life roadmap report, which will give you searing insights into the patterns that are played out in your life so far. Please see the link below for more. So, Taurus, on the screen now, we have the event chart right at the start of the month. And I mentioned your ruler Venus is forging a very dynamic link to Pluto right at the start of the month. And you can see that Pluto shows itself in house 10. But it's going to move back into house 9 later on the first day in terms of universal time. But it doesn't mean to say that Venus and Pluto aren't still linked. They are, but just in a slightly different way. But if there is something that you want to do that is much more daring when it comes to your career, who you know could be just as important as what you know, to be honest. But then Pluto inverses back into the part of your chart to do with knowledge, but also to do with freedom. If your freedom has been cramped by worldly responsibilities since the 21st of January, it wouldn't be a surprise. Perhaps you felt a little bit locked into a situation that hasn't felt particularly positive for you. But as we come into this month, we do need to be aware of the role of Mars. Mars is in your second house. It's been given you over the previous 6 weeks a desire. So you've wanted to enjoy the good things in life, perhaps found it quite hard to resist them at times, to be honest. But Mars is in a square with Neptune, but also back to your ruler Venus. So if you are talking about that professional situation, a financial component could be something that you feel quite strongly about, but teasing out the information in a way that you can make an informed decision around could prove challenging, because it may be the people you're trying to link with can be a little bit opaque, to say the least, not really revealing their hand, keep asking you questions about what you want, and that can be frustrating. Also, the planet of fortune, Jupiter, is conflicted by the planet of limitation, Saturn, as we go into this month. Saturn, like Neptune, is in the part of your chart to do with your network, your friendship, your higher values, but also your future. And if you are feeling very stymied about what to do about your future, and finance is a big part of the concern you have, it wouldn't be a complete surprise. So Mars squares up to Neptune as we come into this month, so you may feel a little bogged down, and that can feel frustrating. But the pace of life can pick up from the new moon of the 3rd, because that's going to bring a sense of greater excitement. It is, to be honest, going to be blocked off, some of the energy from that, from the 5th through to the 10th, by the more restraining energies of Saturn. So Saturn's playing quite the role at the start of this month. So even though the Sun is going to be moving forwards, and in fact does square up to Jupiter in week 2, and kind of saying to you really that whatever you promise, it needs to be something you can deliver on, but also you may find it a little bit hard to resist anything where impulse draws you towards something that has some kind of apparent attraction. It could be someone you're drawn to romantically in week 2. It could be a big ticket item. But I feel that you will get a bit more help once Mars moves into Cancer, because that's going to bring an extra sense of vigour and stamina, and it's going to be here for 8 weeks. And although the new moon is in your 5th house, which is where you can have fun and socialise and be very sparkly, I feel that what Mars does is gives you much more of a dynamic drive to work towards what's intriguing you. But we also have on the 9th, Mercury, as I mentioned, returning back to Virgo, and then coming out of its post-retrograde shadow on the 11th. If you have been finding that life has been quite tricky, maybe very emotional, maybe there's been some confusion, maybe you felt a sense of inertia, I feel that that is going to shift to some degree. You also have in week 3 of this month a very fine link between Uranus in your sign and also of the Sun. If there is part of you that is a little bit more tempted to stick with what you know, which is a very Taurus tendency, Pluto going back into house 9 and the Sun linking to Uranus in week 3 is really pushing you to escape anything that's really choking off your passion. You know, if we're doing any role or we're in any situation where we don't feel very inspired, what it's doing is stealing our energy at some kind of level. But it's also true to say that we do have concurrent to that trine between the Sun and Uranus, a very complex opposition between the Sun and Neptune. So that 5th house energy of the Sun is confronted by the lunar eclipse in Pisces alongside Neptune on the 18th. So this new eclipse series comes in. So over the next 6 months, if you are uncertain about a love relationship or about a friendship or about your future, you may find yourself going through a little bit of a testing time, to be frank. But the key is Uranus, because what we've got is the Sun forges the trine to Uranus and the eclipse forges a sextile. So Uranus is, if you like, a passage to what you really need to do, and that's actually invest in what's right for you, the individual. And this is where Pluto going back into your 9th house, I feel, actually could be very positive for you. It's through to the 20th of November. It won't come back in our lifetimes. So it's a small window of opportunity, but it's really pushing you to be more daring. You've probably been very daring in some ways since 2008 for someone who's supposed to have a particular appreciation of stability and continuity. So you may have travelled a lot, worked overseas, you may have learnt new skills, been much more interested in history, philosophy, all sorts of sparkling stuff's come in, but there still may be something that you need to ask yourself the question of, are you still attached to something which is not so good for you? And the autumnal equinox and ushering in cardinal quadrant 3, because Western tropical astrology is divided into 4 sections of 13 weeks based on the seasons. For you, this is very practical, but it does link to Pluto. So it could mean that a new job or a new identity in some ways can help you with the relationship dynamic. And if you are single, as Venus moves into Scorpio, which is technically not its best location, but it's excellent for you, you have a brilliant opportunity as this month draws to a close to use your relating skills, your charm, your seductive way of connecting to people that's earthy and very coquettish. You could bring someone to you. So if there is someone you really fancy, set your intentions at the end of this month. But also I feel that maybe the change away from something that has been bogging you down needs to be at some kind of practical level, ironically. Mercury helps you at the end of this month. We have a Cazimi on the 30th of the Sun and Mercury exactly unify. And your sparkle around the way you think about things, in terms of services you offer, jobs you're prepared to do, really gives you a great chance as you come to the end of this month to find some new purpose, but in a way that helps you to carry on manifesting some of the creativity and talent and charisma that the Sun's passage through Virgo was certainly giving you. It's just that Saturn and Neptune were checking the validity in terms of, were they right for you long term? Were you connecting to the right people for you long term? Those are the questions you need to ask, Taurus. Have a great September. Take care and goodbye.